What's up guys, Nandra here. Today's game is going to be part 2 of the mid dirt games that I was playing earlier. I was going to upload them all at once. However, real life stuff happened and I also kind of got tired and I fell asleep. So I'm pretty behind on a lot of my projects today. There's also another video that I have to upload as well, so busy. Okay. So this first game is going to be versus dshift. As I mention all the time, generally when your verse is rune, it's almost always dshift. I don't know, it just always is. So I keep my 2 drops just because the Levi will be what I do on 4, and the crafty can be what I do on 2. So when he plays the Conjure Golem here, I'm just like, okay, well, maybe it's not dshift. I do go ahead and develop the Crafty Warlock just because I want my Evos in this game to do as much face damage as possible. Like if he has Magic Missile or Angelic Snipe, that's fine. Like it's to be expected. Even if he has Kaleidoscopic Glow, that's fine too. Like obviously it's not fine in the strictest of senses, but it's not. But it's like an accepted loss, basically. Alright, so I play out the Goblin Mage here. He Piercing Runes for 4, just because he apparently can't remove it. Which kind of made me a little bit happy. So now I get to go Levi, Evo the Levi. I'm gonna go ahead and hold the Crimson Source in my hand just because, as I talked about in previous videos, you don't want other decks to know how much damage you have. Like you want to kind of keep them on the back foot and just kind of, when you do decide to drop your burn, drop it all at once, or drop it when you have no other options. There's no reason for this deck to want to just like ping face or something like that for no reason. So here he gets a really strong turn 5 with Magic Missile into Fate's Hand to draw 3, and then Spell Boost a 3rd time with the Crimson Sorcerer that gets from his Levi. And here I'm actually in a really bad spot, just because with the hand that I have now, the only thing that can properly Evo into Levi is my Elementary Alchemy. But if I play that, then I'm gonna have a weird turn. However, another thing that's worth noting is that, like, in dshift, 9 times out of 10, there's almost nothing to petrify. So unless, for example, they have shift, but they can't kill you in the same turn, so they just like shift for pressure. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw down my petrification here. I'm also gonna throw down my Teachings of Creation. The reason why I throw down the petrify here is just because I need all of these Evos to be for Levi. Now it's a little bit greedy for me to do this. However, I don't believe I'm like favored in this matchup. Like I could be once I get to 7 if I can find Junos in time. However, that's why it's important for me to try to dig as much as possible and just try to either use my Evos for Levi or use my Evos on my wards in order to stay alive. He hasn't boosted that much, but he still has boosted a little bit. Alright, so here he has a Sword Cache. That's a problem. He didn't Evo his Levi here, which is kind of weird. Just because he he only has like Levi as like a really Evo target in this matchup. I think he expected me for me to want to have Professor here, but this board wasn't enough to use Professor on. / I also didn't have it. I do see the Veteran Alchemist, which is nice. And I have a few options here. I could go Veteran Alchemist and basically try to pull the ripcord early and go ahead and heal back up to 19, just that way it makes it harder for him to shift. Because he'll need to have more cards in order to correctly do 19 damage. Or conversely, in a kaleidoscopic blow, I can go ahead and flood the board with my Apprentice Alchemist and get the token from it and go that way, and maybe use an Evo on my Dwarf Alchemist. Just because the Dwarf Alchemist can maybe find me a second Veteran Alchemist, or it can maybe find me Junos for next turn. Just that way, I have a really strong turn 7. Because I only have the one Earthright in play at the moment, I ultimately decided to go for Apprentice Alchemist, I believe. Just that way, I would also have a Ward in the way, because he has boosted a little bit, and I need to try to make it harder for him to just go through a Ward and kill me. Alright, so I Evo first to see what I get. I got another Elder Mage. Elder Mage isn't bad, but it's not. There's not going to be that many opportunities for me to correctly Elder Mage. Alright, so this time I do Burn Face because I need the Sigil for the Twin Guardians next turn. I also wanted to reduce my hand size in case he did Kaleidoscopic Glow me. So here he plays Spectral Wizard. I was kind of confused a little bit here because now I'm assuming that he's the Blade Shift version of dshift, the one that uses Enchanted Swords and Blade Mages. So here I do go ahead and pull the Ripcord just because I haven't seen Fiery Embraces yet, and I just need to heal. Just that way he needs to have like shift plus like the full on like God Hand for his combo. And he shows me one Fiery Embrace, so this is nice. He then plays out his third Levi, and then goes summon Snow for 4. So I'm still just like really confused because he's shown me parts from at least three different dshift archetypes, and I just go ahead and clamor this curse here. Because he has such a low hand size, I'm gonna play a little bit more greedy before I go ahead and throw it at my ward. Just because I want my wards to come down all at once. Because if you play it one by one, they can just use spot removal on it. But here, because his hand size is looking weak, I go ahead and play Elder Mage. And go ahead and put him on a timer. I do use my last Evo, so this way I can threaten lethal. He then plays Winter's Caprice, and I was really confused. He then also tempers out 2 Flame Destroyers, because I guess he just did not see a dshift. And so here, I got Elementary Alchemy, and then play Professor. Professor will go ahead and remove one of the Flame Destroyers, while also establishing me a board at the same time. And I'm still threatening lethal. Because 1 + 2 + 2 is 5, and then Grimnir in my hand is 9. And yeah, he concedes. So it was a pretty weird game overall. Like, he just never found a shift, and his deck was kind of inconsistent, so he got punished for it. It's really important when you play a combo deck that you play enough cards to adhere to the combo as much as possible, while still being relatively safe in unfavored and aggressive matchups. Like, for example, playing something like Sorcery Cache is fine, provided you have like enough like removal to accommodate it. but again, as I said, his list was pretty weird, and he didn't see a dshift. Like he drew quite a few cards, but just didn't see the dshift, which does happen when you're a combo deck, and when those games happen, like you need to have relevant cards that can allow you to get further and to both get further into your deck while still protecting your face. Alright, so this is the next game. It's gonna be versus Haven. I find that this deck is pretty favored versus Haven. Like, it doesn't seem like it, but once you get going with this deck, you just make so many taunts, and you just make it impossible for them to ever want to drop Aegis. Alright, so here again, Aegis and Storm are the most popular archetypes. However, I believe Aegis is slightly more popular than Stormhaven. So I go ahead and pitch back everything. I get double Levi. That was kind of insane, just because Haven as a whole doesn't really apply pressure that early. So I can most likely save both my Levi Ebos, or sorry, save two Ebos per Levi, and that'll be great. So I play Teachings here because again, he's not really going to do anything to me early, so right now I just need to fish for resources so I can keep playing cards. He plays Temple Defender here, which was a little bit annoying. I play Goblin Mage. However, one thing that I could have done is I could have played Dwarf Alchemist and then played a Sigil. However, he does have the Elanas here. I'm just gonna go ahead and Levi. Play Crafty. Ebo Levi. So this way, he needs to have ALS, or he needs to have Priest of the Cudgel to not be in a bad spot. But if he plays that, that's perfectly fine by me. Just because he'll have a fairly weak turn in terms of overall development and board tension. And that'll give me space to go ahead and remove the Elanas. I also get another Sigil. So now I just go ahead and banish the Elanas. He needs to have another Elanas in order to be fine. Otherwise, suddenly his deck stops doing work. I have Professor next turn, as well as Juno the turn after, maybe. However, I'm gonna hold off on the Professor just because I found my third Levi, and I wanna try to use Professor to hit some of his bigger targets, because his deck does play stuff like Israfil and whatnot. Additionally, he might be like Elana Aegis, and if he is, I want to have a really strong turn 8, just so that way I can deny him from trying to play anything. Additionally, he still hasn't shown me a Themis yet, so I want to try to initially make an annoying board pre-Professor, and then when he Themises and then maybe tries to develop later, I want to be able to stop another really annoying board. Again, I have the Junos, so I can kind of go. So I can play it as the aggressor here, because I've already banished one of his Elanas, and he most likely isn't Elana Seraph. He could be, and if he is, that's a problem. But most times, it's usually just straight up just pure heal for a billion Elanas. So I go for the Levi. Getting the second Crimson Sorcery was pretty cool. However, I'm going to have to use one of them here in order to full clear, just because I need to pressure him into using that last Evo. When you're versus Haven, making them use all of their Evos early is very important, because it means that once that last Evo is gone, that suddenly they can't just play Aegis on 9 if you have a board. They need to wait for you to have a weak turn in order to develop the Aegis. And provided you don't have a weak turn at all, they're just constantly in the driver's seat until you do. This deck has a lot of value, and you can, and there are a lot of plays they can make that just suddenly develop a lot of bodies on the board for no reason. Alright, so I go ahead and use the combination of Red Hot Ritual plus my Crimson Sorcery in order to clear the board. I'll go ahead and hold the Earth Essence just because I need space for my Genos next turn. He plays the second Elana's, and then he plays Healing Angel. And here, this play he made is like kind of questionable. He chooses not to Evo, so at this point, he's now telegraphed to me, okay, I have Aegis. So I go ahead and play Genos here, which is nice because this works perfectly in my favor. I don't need to Evo just because if I Evo, I won't have space for my golems. And here he doesn't have the Themis. This was a pretty huge tell just because. Well, also he drew last. He should have drawn first, just in the off chance that he might see a Themis. But here I go ahead and play Twin Guardians, and I go ahead and apply more pressure. He didn't have Themis last turn, so he won't have Themis this turn. And that's something that you need to recognize versus Haven, is that generally Haven first and foremost is a control deck, and versus control decks, when you see an opening, you need to try to immediately take it whenever possible. Just because for this player base in particular, most people don't understand what it is to bait. So you can set up like really strong removal turns. Like for example, if he had Themis here, I would have been in a terrible spot. However, I don't believe that he has the capacity to hold off on removal, and that he would be so greedy in order to try to make a play like this. So that's why I go ahead and just slam down as many wards as possible. So this way, even if he has Aegis, he can't play it. Like he just straight up can't play it, because even if he does play it, I still have 13 damage on board. So if he plays Aegis, he's dead here. But here he goes Temple Defender plus Healing Angel, and then a Blackened Scripture. Alright, so he does give me his last Evo, which is very important. He might want to Grimnir me next turn, or maybe play Bahamut or something like that, and that's fine for me, provided that this turn I go ahead and put him into range. So I go ahead and clear off the Temple Defender, and I just launch Burn Spells out of space. The reason why I launch the Burn Spells out of space is because next turn I want a Grimnir to kill him. I also want to put him in a checkmate situation. Like, he needs to clear my board and heal at the same time. I have a lot of stats on my board. I have 4, 12. I have 15, 12 worth of stats on my board, and he can only clear off one of my 4/4s at the moment. So he needs to have Themis here in order to be in a good spot. However, he plays Healing Angel first, and this signifies that he doesn't have Themis. If he doesn't have Themis, then he's just dead. And then he plays Curate next. I think he thought he could out-heal this, but yeah, I was going to have 11 damage on board regardless. And so here he just loses. Yeah, he's literally just dead on board. So I just go ahead and kill him. A huge part of this game was that even though he had the Elanas early, was that I didn't immediately overcommit to it, and I just was willing to take a bad turn later in the game to go ahead and banish it, and to force him to replay it a second time. An important part of amulet decks, especially amulet decks that your entire deck is centered around, is that once that amulet dies, if you don't have a second one immediately, you're in trouble. And even if you do have a second one immediately, if your opponent is now wary of what you're doing, they can go ahead and capitalize. They can go ahead and capitalize it and go ahead and change their game plan fairly quickly. Like, because I knew that he was most likely Elana's, and all. Because I was able to realize that he was Elana's, and then also because I was able to play around certain outs that he might have, such as Themis and whatnot, until he basically showed me that, okay, I don't have Themis. I was able to take control and to be able to go ahead and out pressure him in a matchup that ordinarily I could very easily lose, just because eventually, if he can spam heal stuff later in the game while drawing cards at the same time, such as like for example, if he can go like Radiance Angel, if he can go Radiance Angel plus Healing Angel, if he can go Healing Angel plus Radiance Angel plus like Rapid Heal or something like that, then that's like a lot of stats that I'll have to answer all at once. And Dirt Rune doesn't really have that much removal to be able to deal with certain things like that. So it's important that I go ahead and turn off the Elanas as fast as I humanly could. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, go ahead and give me a like, and if you didn't, go ahead and tell me what down below in the comments. Regardless, I would like to hear your comments either way. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and thank you for watching. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.